Dooley's residence here is the Dooley House, Dooley Pub and Bar here in Ballinasloe. We're going to have a few words with Paul later and just show you the name here outside the door. And there's Paul over with Tony standing outside the door having a chat and surveying all around them. It's a beautiful morning here in Ballinasloe. The fair is now all over and Tony's returning to England tomorrow. And as I say, there's I'm afraid the viewing area isn't the best here. And anyway, you see Ballinasloe then back to itself again now after the fair week. A whole lot. I just got a shot around the street here. Nice and quiet again here now this year. The view of Dooley's from down at the top of Dunlop Street. The Dooley Bar there. Dooley Bar is gives you activity here on a beautiful morning here in Ballinasloe. And that's we're looking up Dunlop Street here, and on the top of Dunlop Street here, and that's Dunlop Hill. As I said, and we'll go inside now and we'll have a chat with Paul. We'll get him to say a few words on the fair. There's no better man. He's no better man with knowledge of the fair in Ballinasloe. He's the oldest residence here in Ballinasloe now in the pub business and grocery, and one of the old reliable ones. Now you see one of Ballinasloe's most respected citizens is Peter Cummins. I might get Peter in for a bit of a chat. He's coming over here towards me now. Cummins now standing at the door. Peter usually goes into Dooley's for a fast one here on Monday morning. He'll be having a shot. There's interference here now from the old farmers and the tractors and trailers all going after the mart. As I said, there's Gertie now has joined the company at the door, along with Tony and Peter. Tony, as usual, walks across in front of the camera. And as I said, you can see the bar and grocery here over the door, all Dooley. And of course, this is Gertie.
Mr. Kevin from Gertie. Hope to see you soon in Ballinasloe.
What do you see him tomorrow? Nice, what are you talking about?
This is Kevin. This is a different Kevin. This is a different Kevin.
Yeah. Have you anything, Peter, now to add, like Ballinasloe now? As a man, you're...
Well, the fact that we just finished the fair week.
You see that 20s?
And I've seen it for 58 years.
This one there.
And it's quite good. But the weather didn't suit it.
Yes.
This one here. Put this in there.
The weather wasn't the best this year, Peter.
No, very bad.
Unfortunately, the fine weather didn't come. Came a bit late, but...
It wasn't as good.
No. But I suppose that didn't bother yourself too much.
No, it didn't bother, because I'm getting too old. It's 80 years. You can't run around like you used to at 10 years, 20 years ago.
How long are you in Ballinasloe now, Peter?
58 years.
58 years. Yeah. Peter's a Waterford man now.
I'm
for
a
people
Galway man now.
He's a Galway man for 50 years. I don't think we'll...
58 years.
58 years. God, that's a long time in Ballinasloe.
He came here on the...
Paul says he was a blow-in. I don't know if you could call him that.
Paul is not a blow-in. He's complete native.
Paul is only I think Paul is the only true blue left now in around this part of the country.
Well, that's good. Well...
You see him there himself in the flesh now.
Yeah.
And,
looking well he is, isn't he?
He looks great. Paul looking mighty. Thank God, as the man says, Peter, you're looking famous yourself. I suppose it's all the good porterhouse and whiskey that Paul is giving you.
This is all the good stuff we get here.
I filled it out at 9p a pint.
9p a pint, Paul?
Yeah.
My God.
9p a pint, a half of whiskey at 10p.
That's right.
And a half of brandy at a shilling. These 20 cigarettes and 11p halfpenny with a box of matches given in.
Do you want a hot blackcurrant?
And
10 cigarettes, 6p. And a packet of Woodbines, 2p.
My
for
God.
5.
Packet of Woodbines.
That's a packet of
Good Lord.
And that, in those days, we bottled all our own stout, our own whiskies, and rums, and all those cordials, in those days. And in the October Fair of long ago, we'd the cast in those days was wooden casts. We used to sell about 40 casts during the week, and most of those stuff we'd sell would be taken away in gallon jars by the big herds, the owners, and it was distributed amongst their herdsmen, you know, who worked for them at the fairs, herding cattle and all this kind of thing. But the fair in those days lasted 3 weeks. A week coming, a week on, and a week off. And a lot of people in this town don't know yet. There were so many people who used to come looking after the wagons, looking after the cattle, looking after the sheep that they loaded over the station. And one would wonder where did those men, where were they accommodated, where did they stay? Well, the answer to it is, on the platform at the moment over there, underneath the platform, is a row of flats, right underneath the platform, where those men were accommodated in those days. But there are some funny stories to be told about the way that merchandise came into Ballinasloe and how it went out of Ballinasloe. The canal, for instance, in those days was an operation which was the greatest first that ever happened to have it gone. I often saw 4 and 5 barges above the canal basin, and each one of them would carry about 50 tons of Guinness stout out from Guinness to Ballinasloe. And they'd go back with 50 ton of grain for Guinness. You'd see lorry loads, horses and carts of grain along that road there, waiting for their turn to get up and wade in at the canal above. The merchandise that's coming now by lorries and finished with the river was brought by the canal. Canal delivered sugar and tea.
Canal delivered up to 1940.
Yeah, no.
45.
Hash rum.
The canal.
Here, have a mouthful out of
The
this.
canal system.
I'd say it'd be too
The railway came into being in 1847. The canal went out of business. It came in here in 1828, and they went bankrupt in here above. They were going to go to Vertumna to cater for Lord Clanrickard, so it went bankrupt. And incidentally, the same year St. Joseph's College was built for Dermot and Carty. What do you call them? Oh, the title. Lepoor Trench. And in 1828, Lepoor Trench married Lady Bella Bilton. She was a famous jewellery actress. Yeah. Both he and she are buried above in the vault, above the church.
You know how the marriage happened?
And the funny thing, I know that
she sued him for, or her parents sued him for breach of promise.
Yeah.
And he went up to the court and he said, I'll marry her any day.
It is, and
he married her.
He did, and he made a present to her of a piano. And that piano is upstairs in our room now.
Small world.
But Ballinasloe has a funny story. There was a well-known character here in Ballinasloe called Matty Kenny. And Matty Kenny happened to be in the shop one of the days of the horse fair. Now the horse fair originally was down below at the top of the square. And the hunters were up above at the green, a small number of hunters. And Jimmy Green, Jimmy Conga from Clontusker was a well-known trainer of horses at the time. He used to train the Burnses and all of those. And among the horses he trained were some famous horses called Peace, Thrown Out, Oatfield Hero, Capitite Lad, and a few more like that. But this horse blocker came in one day into the shop, and there was no lorry to take his horses to anywhere. And Matty Kenny said to him, I'll take them, sir, he says. And the man looked at him and he said, I went them to brought the cabin, but sure, I'll bring them to cabin, says Matty. What'll you give me, says the man, Matty said to him, I'll give you a pound a horse. And how many will there be? I'll bring how many of you? 11, right. Put a saddle on the first horse, he said, and tail the rest of them, head to tail, and I'd bring them. And have him, Matty got up at 5 o'clock in the morning at the area that we could meet, and he started for Cavan. His first stop was Longford. He stayed a night in Longford in a shed, a farmer obliged him, and let the horses in. The following day he got up, 5 o'clock in the morning again. He was in Cavan that day, collected £11.
Take him out of this. Take him out to put more water in it for you.
Now you got it all. Bar one thing he's forgotten. He mentioned Jimmy Cohen. Jimmy Cohen was the only man who was brought to the Grand National every year while he was alive.
That's right, yeah. And he jumped the high jump up there, front race and back race.
Yeah.
And he'd say over to the bridge to Dover.
Funny thing.
Can you not have him out of your hot blackcurrant?
The funny thing you probably don't know, when you did mention Jimmy Cohen was invited to take over the command of the Irish Army equitation in 1928 or 29. Yeah. And Jimmy said, I can't go, he said, I'm to look after Mr. Burns' horse. But I'll send you the lad, he said. He sent the lad, and who the lad was? Dan Curry.
Dan Curry.
That's right.
There you go. That's
Dan Curry.
Here, come on here.
I'll have to hold it a minute now.
This house was built in 1828. The canal came into Ballinasloe in 1828 when they went bankrupt. Daniel O'Connell went into the House of Commons in England and declared Catholic emancipation for Ireland in 1828, 29. And Garbley College was built in 1828. The 4 dates synonymous to one another.
Yeah, you are.
Well, they're very significant dates indeed. Indeed, and
absolutely. Ballinasloe, you know, there's history attached to Ballinasloe, and you know, the thing about it, it hasn't been written, a lot of it. And I often regretted I never wrote as much as I know about Ballinasloe.
Exactly.
Because it's very interesting.
Probably do a better job than your man, Englishman done.
Yeah. In the old days in Ballinasloe, you know, we had more lanes in Ballinasloe than any town of its size in Ireland. You had Paradise Row, Hobbs's Lane, Tail Lane, Piper's Lane, what do you call them? Woodslip Lane, Woods's Lane. Oh God, there was an abundance of lanes.
And you had 3 breweries.
You had 3 breweries, that's right. And you had tanneries.
Yeah. And the population of Ballinasloe at the time of famine was 8,000 odd. And famine it cut it down to 2,000.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
And the oldest pub in Ballinasloe, where was it? Is it not there? No, it's gone for years and years.
Ah. Well, there was one, but I know it was in Ballinasloe, but things in other street. I saw the deeds of that for 17, 20 years.
This was all.
It was a attached house.
Yeah, this was all. The Danes of River Street. Opposite Joe Murray's there. In the old days, you see,
Who?
Danes have it now. They had it for the last number of years, Danes. And if you go into Danes, I went in one day, here the shelving are still around the place, inside in it. You know, and young Dane.
Which is that?
Do you know where Joe Murray is?
I do, well.
It's just opposite Joe Murray's. It's a stone cut house. It's beside where Dick Kenny's wife used to live one time.
And what your fella lived down there, didn't he? Tom McGrath?
Tom McGrath was the house, the big house below it.
Below it?
But this side was a stone cut house. Willie Dane. But
I never,
what the hell is it? In the old days, you see, the coach ran from Dublin to Galway. That was what they call him coach. The coach who started by Malcolm Clonmel,
Fahy.
And they used to change their horses a few times on the route. And they used to change them here in Ballinasloe. Now Woods's drapery was to stop as a hotel at that time. It was a catering place. And the passengers would be let off there. And the horses would be driven out to Joe Murray's yard and the horses would be changed in Murray's yard, which was Lancaster's then in those days. And the inn was a fair side of the road where they could get a drink. That was the reason that the pub was here, the inn's pub. There you are now.
Now you got it all.
Because that certainly is that's certainly news to my ears anyway, and most interesting news. It really is. It's great. You know, we really need you need a day, Paul, or a good few sessions with yourself, especially talking to Peter here, to document all of this. You know, and it's certainly something great to have. History in itself, as you said, Paul. Nobody has ever done a proper history of Ballinasloe. It's an awful shame. Ty McLaughlin made some efforts at it, but he really didn't go into any great detail. He didn't talk to people such as both of you here now were.
Exactly.
He didn't consult people like you to look for the proper information. I don't know where he got his information from.
If you get one and you make a good record, you could actually.
I'd love to do it, and please God, in the next couple.
Poor Paddy Finneran long ago. I was often sorry I didn't write down some of the things he told me. But we were here one day and...
Who's Paddy Finneran now, Paul?
Paddy, he was an old postman. He died about, roughly around 7 or 8 years ago. He used to do approximately 47 and 48 miles a day delivering the post.
My God.
Most of the time on a bicycle.
Yes.
Was it 47, 17 miles a day he used to do. In the week he'd do around 50. He used to deliver the post, bicycle, and often walk it. But he was here one day anyhow. At that time, Paddy was 80 years of age. And this would be, he died 10 years ago. You could say 20 years ago he died. But I said to him one day, we were reminiscing over Ballinasloe, and he said, did you ever know where I was born? He said, no, said I, Paddy. I know you're living in Brackernagh. He's living in that house that what he called him had, that fellow that worked in Square D, or no, in Burnout, McLaughlin. McLaughlin got it after him.
Yeah.
And he said, come up with me now, he said, and I'll show you where I live. We went up and into Rothwell's yard here above. Now, Rothwell's yard in those days, I remember it quite well, there were horse boxes where the house is built today.
That's right.
And we walked in around the yard part of it, and he said, I was born here. And he took me around and he showed me the corner where he was born. And Mike Ginan was putting turnips for Rothwell's cows at the time. That's 20 years ago, not more. He said, I was born in there. That's where we lived. And all around here, he said, was little houses. And as you go down to where the mill was, you could see where there was an old ash pit, and further down there were little houses down along to the mill. And opposite that then, where Declan or Bannerton has
Cannon Ventures.
down along there was another laneway down there where there were people living. It was called Buttermilk Lane. That's something in Ballinasloe. Where's Buttermilk Lane? You wouldn't have a
You
clue.
wouldn't have got it, of course. They're gone.
Or even Paradise Road, I wouldn't tell you where it is. Do you know where Paradise Road is, Peter?
But that's all. It wasn't about where it was called David Street now. That's the one that goes from down the hill down by the church.
Oh, you were thinking of Davis? No, that wasn't Davis Street. That was Sullivan Street, Sullivan Lane. They call him Sullivan. Reeves O'Sullivan. He was one of the biggest merchants in Ballinasloe, Reeves O'Sullivan. He had that place where it was formerly Roddy O'Byrne's, and it was cleaners.
Oh, yeah.
And Kelly's. He owned those two places. Reeves O'Sullivan owned them, and Reeves O'Sullivan, when he died, and Miss O'Byrne from Kilconnell, came and bought the grocery cart. And Roddy O'Byrne was working above in Cal's at the time as a shop boy, and he fell in love with her and went on and married her, and that's how we started in there.
Oh.
So there you are, getting information from that now.
Oh, that's something. I never knew.
I got
Dr. Rossiter his father, his wife's father was Sir what he owned that little lane into where Timmy Blackton was living, McLillis. Sir what, and Sir Andrew Horn, the Horn estate.
Yeah.
That's it in by Bannerton's in along there. And that was owned by Sir Andrew Horn. He owned a lot of houses in the town.
We did, I know that.
A lot of houses.
I know that's my experience. My job here.
We'd like to have had a long discussion on this. Very interesting to me anyway. As being one of a younger set of local people in Ballinasloe.
Absolutely.
But it was great here this morning to meet the like of Peter Cummins, one of the, as he said, he's a Galway man now through and through, having come to Ballinasloe 58 years ago from Waterford. He worked with Brendan Lynn solicitors and that, and a very learned man, I must say. I had reason to travel to Waterford one day with Peter, and I met his sister, God rest her soul, a lovely lady, and indeed a great friend of mine. And as I said, you heard Paul there, one true man, a man of great knowledge of Ballinasloe.
No doubt.
And his information reservoir hasn't been tapped at all, I must say. But I hope to put that right myself in the next year or two, or within the next year. There's no point putting a long finger. Something, you never know what happens. None of us are going to live forever, and we'd certainly like to get the information before something happens, one or any of us for that matter. But we shouldn't be talking about things of that nature now. But as I said, I want to thank you very much, both of you gentlemen here this morning. I'm sure Kevin in London and any people that watch this in London, I'm sure will be watched in Ballinasloe in years to come, because we hope to take a few records of it. And before I conclude, I just ask Paul to say something.
Thank you. Very nice, very well said.
And Peter.
Yeah. The only sad thing I can recall in memoirs is the Urban Council, the wrongdoing of the Urban Council.
I don't mind that so well.
They carved up a beautiful green of 40 acres, which was bequeathed to the people of Ballinasloe by the Earl of Cloncarty. They carved it up, and they were stopped in the process of further carving it up with the buildings that went onto it.
But Paul, that's what's our progress. And we must progress and go on.
And the only
Can't do anything about that.
the only respect I have for a man who was dead and gone, who was chairman of the Urban Council 30 years ago, Jim Cullen, when he said and proposed that we should put a roof over the green, and they laughed at him. How right that man was. If we had a cover over that green today, we'd have our own Mill Street here in Ballinasloe.
Yeah.
We'd have all our amenities, sports amenities under the cover. We'd have protection for anyone that would participate, for fairs and everything. That man was born before his time.
God, he certainly was. He had far-reaching ideas, hadn't he?
Born before his time.
My God, your man in Mill Street, or what's he called, that fellow there, Randy, Eurovision.
He's from down here in Four Roads.
That's right, I heard
He
him.
worked in what do you call him, shop down in Four Roads.
Yeah, he was interviewed there one night, all right. He was talking about the horse.
He deserves credit.
He was talking about the horse fair in that league and all of that. I often heard Pop. I often heard Pop, my father, saying when he used to often walk with the horses from that league. So that's only what 20 mile down the road. He used to walk from Kerry one time with the cattle for the fairs of Ballinasloe, I believe. An old friend of both of you there, P.C. Salmon, you know Peter Rodden in Gortnamona. I had to meet him every Friday morning for a chat and a cup of tea, and he often talked